Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be covering everything about the 1944D cent. Now, these are pretty common, a lot of people end up with them, but there's some of them that are worth huge amounts of money, and there are others that are either going to be worth, tens or hundreds of dollars, or maybe they're just the normal 44D cent. But there's so much to go over. We're going to be covering all of it, whether that's going to be a variety coin, which you might not be familiar with, but I'll sort of be explaining that, whether it's a mint error, whether it's a conditional rarity, or whether it is the sort of coveted steel-coated zinc planchet that was supposed to be used in 1943. That can be worth, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the condition. Whether, maybe you think you have it, it's pretty unlikely, but it's something that I want to tell you about along with everything that there is to know about this 1944D penny. So let's get right into the video. So let's jump right into this 1944D wheat cent, because there's obviously that majorly rare and valuable coin that's going to be towards the end of the presentation, but there's so much more to that, and I don't want you to just focus on the relatively unattainable 44D that's steel and zinc. In terms of the general coin, though, you can pause this for a little bit more information. Obviously, in 1943, there was that zinc-coated steel that was used for the wartime effort. It didn't really work out that well for a whole variety of reasons, and they went back to this composition the following year. So it would be a little bit, there were some experimental shell casings, but that wasn't really a major deal. That's not going to really affect the value if you've got one of those or not. Right here you can see if it's a gorgeous coin with no imperfections, you get $135 for a mint state 67, $8,000 for a mint state 68. But I would only recommend submitting coins for pure conditional reasons if you have a lot of experience and you have the eye to discern what a 68 versus a 66 will be. Obviously, that value differential isn't really there by accident. So it's going to take some upper level. The one, field that anybody should be aware of and can be looking for on any 1944D coin is a double die obverse. This is one of the more well-known ones. It's what's known as a class 6 distended hub doubling variety. And this one, it's like extra thickness, so it's not quite as obvious as like the 1955 double die. But right here, you can see it. It's marked by these distorted 4s or much thicker 9 than usual. This one sold for, or it will sell for, in the mint state range $200 to $600 or so. I didn't have as much AU history. Now the next one is going to be very similar. It's also extra thick, but it doesn't quite live up to that previous one. It's most easily seen in the 9, also in the LIB and the Liberty. But the values are so much smaller, but people aren't really searching for this, or they're saying, hey, the only extra thickness I know is this one, so they can pass up something like this. Or another one that's also looked over are the sort of doubled eyelids. This one right here has a doubled eyelid. It was frequently found on the wheat cents back then, and the values, $5 to $15, but otherwise those are like an AU, not really worth more than 5 cents. Mint state 65, if it's not graded, probably going to be worth like $1 or $2. So that can be a good find, and not a lot of people are focused on this, so you could find it definitely in a already graded coin. There's also this, there is some extra thickness, but a little bit of shelving on the right sides and the inside there of 1, 9, 4, and 4. So that one's something to certainly be aware of. And then the last one is going to be a double die obverse. Not only does it have the doubled eyelid, and there's a lot more like doubled eyelids. I tried to go for the major ones where you're just looking at the letters. You can also see the doubling in the T and the D. In God We Trust. I think this is probably more valuable than what this price guide has, but it hasn't really picked up a ton of steam in terms of having a lot of people aware of it. This one sells for between $4 and $12. I forgot, I guess, that there is this one as well, where maybe there's a doubled eyelid, but there's also this sort of upper 9 that's seen in the 1944 date. And on the reverse, you can see this one pretty strong doubling all through the cent in the back of that, especially on the tops of the C and the E. And this one, probably one of the more valuable non-FS listed double die reverses. There's also a ton of repunchment marks. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's like 7 or 8 that I'll go through quickly, but basically you should also be looking at those mint marks. The FS, if cherry pickers are going to be worth a lot more than the non, but here it's a nice split. I own this one in person. There's also some other ones. This one, much higher as well, And then there's these minor ones where, you see right there, a little bit of split up in the top. Again, similar in the top. This one is certified at NGC, but not by PCGS, so there can be some differences there. Some really nice presentations, and a lot of people again are just hunting for those cherry pickers guide ones and then overlook something like this that could still be worth like $3, $5, $10. It's not bad. And then the big ones though are the overmint marks. So you should be looking at any 1944D because there's two overmint marks, the D over the S, and these are very, very valuable, especially in better condition. But I guess the coins would have had the San Francisco mint mark, and I guess they were destined for that mint or something, but they end up getting struck at Denver with the Denver mint mark, and they don't throw out the whole die. Instead, they just punch a new D over the previously existing S mint mark, and this is the result. Here's the second one that's not quite as valuable, but this one's going to protrude more to the west of the mint mark. So that does it for the varieties. The errors, this one is like the big one. There's also, different conditions that can come in. This one's not like a uber premium condition. It's mint state 62, but it sold for $54,000, and that's a really impressive number. So it's something where I always check, even though the odds are so low, any steel cents I come across to see if there's one of these in there. You never know what you could see. They're often faked, so you want to see if it's magnetic. If it is magnetic, it's going to be steel, and then you also want to make sure it's 2.7 grams instead of the normal 3.11 grams. So that's something also to consider. You can also have some errors that aren't quite as drastic and still really fun. So this is an $80 coin. It's just struck 5% off center, a little bit, it didn't quite enter the striking chamber properly. This was the result. Now, as a good reminder, just because your coin doesn't necessarily have a steel or zinc planchet and it's off color, it could still be something really good. So this is a great example. This one's struck on a Philippines 10 centavo planchet. This was a $7,800 find, and whoever got it did pretty well because it circulated a little bit, but people plucked it out, and it ended up being, the states had the Philippines under their domain. They would grant them independence following World War II, but was striking coins for a lot of different other countries, and sometimes some crazy stuff can happen. In this case, a Filipino planchet got caught up in the regular cent dies, and this was the result. There's also this obverse lamination, only sold for $30, but it shows if you do want to buy a mint error, you don't have to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars. You can just get something nice like this, where there would have been some sort of metal impurity that led to what we're seeing in front of us, and that's how that came about. So hope that this was a helpful video. There's so many crazy valuable things, but there's also some just really fun like double die reverses that are worth like $20. So there's so much out there, and I really encourage you to get involved with the coin collecting hobby. A lot of depth to it, as you can hopefully see from this video, and I'll see you on some of my other ones going forward. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretownYT.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.